David Berkowitz, Albert DeSalvo. The Hillside Strangler, Kenneth Bianchi.
The unremorseful serial killing perpetrated by H.H. Holmes.
Like Leonard Lake and Charles Ng.
Henry Lee Lucas, his sometime partner, Otto Struhl. The two may have killed close to 400 men, women, and children.
Gary Heitman. And when police entered his home, they knew they were dealing with a twisted man. If you raise a kid with love and kindness and affection most of the time, you've got a good shot at their growing up to be decent, caring, loving human beings and treating their own kids well. But if you raise a kid the way Stanley raised you, with no love, no affection, constant abuse, beatings for no reason, all you teach is hatred.
Their true desire is to achieve fame and notoriety.
Provide a glimpse into his mind and his relationship with Leonard Lake.
He took great pleasure in hurting anybody that had some vulnerability. This was kind of a form of payback to the vulnerable part of himself that he felt was responsible for his own victimization at the hands of his parents.
He was later sold by his mother for a bottle of beer. He eventually led a cult which slaughtered 5 victims.
Back when I was about 4. When I was 4, something happened to me with my mother. And that's when I was introduced to sex. Oral sex.
I had a screwed up childhood, no doubt in my mind about that. Just like a shot of dope. Wow. I don't know. You know, do the math. A couple, 3 years, 4 years, for 20 years. What does that add up to? 50 to 70. I'll go with that.
Enables him to commit such atrocious acts, even find pleasure in seeing others die.
And look me in the eye. Look me straight away in the eye. Do I look like I'm guilty about anything?
You look more guilty than anyone I ever looked at in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that mirror's gonna be heavy for you to carry in.
At the age of 15, he murdered his grandmother and grandfather. He was sent to the state mental institution where he responded well to treatment. After 7 years, he was paroled. State psychiatrists pronounced him no longer dangerous, but he was still in the grip of violent fantasies.
Satan admits to being evil.
He admits to being evil, Richard?
We are all evil in some form or another, are we not?
He told many of his stories in the third person.
Not thinking clearly, but still intending not to harm her. He placed his hands around her throat, just to throttle her into unconsciousness so that she wouldn't scream anymore. She stopped struggling and stopped screaming.
30 women in various states. They were not able to find all those bodies, so they don't know that that's true. Some people say he killed a lot more than 30, but we really don't know how many he committed, though he was able to close a few cases that they had not been able to close before.
More than 30 years after he began his killing spree, Ted Bundy still fascinates.
He's probably the most renowned serial killer in the world aside from Jack the Ripper, because he was so photogenic, handsome, smart, willing to talk, articulate, defended himself, that he's very much the poster boy for how the charming serial killer fooled so many people.
And that's what he did. He'd go into these neighborhoods and sell ice cream to the kids and maybe kill one of their fathers. I use chainsaws. See, chainsaws are messy. All you get is all over me I have these little pieces of meat. Now that's a pain in the neck if I use chainsaws. Now would I want to ruin a good shirt with a chainsaw? That would be downright stupid.
And what scares and appalls me, Dr. Dobson, is when I see what's on cable TV. Some of the movies, some of the violence in the movies that come into homes today.
But when police searched Ed Gein's house, they discovered that this grisly scene was only the beginning. His home was a monument to death and depravity. They found at least 10 human skulls, some wrapped in plastic, some placed casually under furniture. Mounted on the wall, the decaying faces of 9 women, some made up with lipstick. Hidden under the bed, police found a shoebox containing the severed remains of female genitalia. Every room in Ed Gein's house was filthy and marked with evil, except one, his mother's bedroom.
Gary Heidnik believed he heard the voice of God.
Heidnik put the remains in a blender, mixed them with cans of dog food, then forced the others to consume it. A psychotic 28-year-old man named Richard Chase becomes obsessed with blood. Remains of 11 victims are found.
The killing was just a means to an end. That was the least satisfactory part. I didn't enjoy doing that. That's why I tried to create living zombies and keep them with me as long as possible, even if it meant just keeping apart.
When police enter David Parker Ray's home, they discover a room used for extreme bondage and domination. It is just the beginning. Police enter the truck trailer he parks next to his house, a structure he calls the toy box. A hydraulic gynecological chair was the centerpiece of the room. A system of weights and pulleys were suspended from the ceiling. Andrei Chikatilo terrorized Russia from 1978 to 1990. He lured children from train stations to the nearby woods. There, he removed their eyes, cut out their organs, and ate their flesh.
Any form of cannibalism.
With the help of the FBI, the coded journals found in Bar Jonah's apartment were deciphered.
He basically had recipes written for little boy stew and French fried kid.
For manipulating nearly 1,000 people into committing suicide.
In his suicide letter, Whitman requested that an autopsy be done on him to explain his behavior. Authorities found that he had a brain tumor. It is discovered near the amygdala, the region of the brain that regulates fear and aggression. In it, Berkowitz calls himself the Son of Sam and threatens to kill again. I'm him. I'm the Son of Sam. What took you so long?
She screamed and jumped on the bed and strangled her manually.
The Zodiac Killer has never been apprehended. His notoriety continues, and his identity remains unknown.
Right in front of me, you were about 10 to 12 feet away. Approximately distance we're at about now.
The only time you have seen the suspect is on TV because you were playing dead, am I correct?
I saw you shoot me, and I've seen you on TV.
Ferguson's referring to himself in the third person, even when confronting his victims.
He's unobtrusive. He's quiet. He's polite. You know, the way he lives is messy, and you know, like all of these things that the FBI profilers over the years had set out.
A police search of Picton's farm revealed body parts, including severed heads and hands. It sparked the largest investigation in Canadian history.
And Marnie Frey, along with DNA and belongings linked to more than 24 other women.
Killing 7 people. In court, he claimed his victims were Nazis, and he had killed them to escape purgatory.
Last Nazi was there. I shot and killed him, and Hitler was there. I shot and killed him.
And horrific evidence was found in barrels near his house. They contained 8 decomposing bodies. During his trial, details of Robinson's horrendous crimes emerged. He had raped and tortured his victims and ultimately beaten them to death.
Alleged that he did 10 or 12 a year, practically every month.
Just as the vampire or werewolf must eat in order to survive, Fish's diabolical perversion would not go away.
Now would the world discover the shocking truth about Judith's husband, Gary Ridgway, the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history.
Gary, did you revisit any of these?
I revisited at least one of them.
And when we say revisit, what did you come back to do?
Have sex with her.